wasn't until I started really carnivore and recently the priming that really took away the addiction or like took away the craving altogether. Once I started priming, which is only like not even 10 days yet, and I don't have any cravings. And that is like a godsend that I don't have it. Like you could put a cake on the table and I could walk past it 100 times and not even go near it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Rochelle, the real life carnivore. So grateful to have you here. Today, I am interviewing Mr. Dennis Ford. You may have seen him on the Reversed TV series that came out last year. If not, I highly recommend you check it out. His story is really phenomenal, and I'm just going to be having a conversation with him, just asking him to share his story, just talk about his journey with carnivore, what he has seen change, what has not changed. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, I encourage you to go ahead and hit the little notification bell, drop me a like, drop me a comment, and as always, let me know how your carnivore journey is going and what stood out to you from this video. Let's dive in. All right. And without further ado, we have Mr. Dennis here. He has been a carnivore since September of 2022. And I'm actually really excited to have this conversation with him, for him to share his story with you guys. So please join me in welcoming Dennis. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming. How are you today?
Hey, Rochelle, how are you? Thanks for having me. I'm doing good.
Good. Good. I'm so glad you're here. Well, Dennis, let's just start with your story. Tell us, who are you?
Who am I? So I was a very sick person in 2013. I had multiple issues with my health. I was obese. I had diverticulitis. I had gout. I had psoriasis. I had a fatty liver. Not all at the same time, but I had just turned 40. So I'm thinking like, okay, everybody says once you turn 40, that's when everything starts to go downhill, right? So I had all these issues, and what they did was they gave me, I had the gout, so they gave me medication. I think it was alpurinol. And then when I had my diverticulitis, they put me on antibiotics. It's an infection. And then psoriasis, it was creams. So everything was medicine to make me better. Nobody ever told me that what I was putting in my body was causing these issues. So then finally in 2017, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And that was like, for me, that was like hitting a brick wall. As soon as the doctor diagnosed me, like my jaw was on the floor. I said, "What do you mean I have type 2 diabetes?" So he's like, "Yep. So I have to put you on these three medications." He gave me Jardiance, Victoza, and Metformin, and said, "Just take these doses as I say, and you'll get yourself better." So I was doing that. He never told me to change my diet. That was never mentioned. So I'm taking the medication, I'm still eating a crappy diet, and yes, I lost weight with the medications, but I was still eating the bad medicine. I still didn't feel right. I still brain fog, wasn't sleeping well. So then I started researching um, what I have to do to get rid of type 2 diabetes on my own. And I said, and diet and exercise. That's everywhere I went and looked, there was diet and exercise. So I started dieting, but I just went to clean eating. I wasn't specific to any diet, keto, carnivore, nothing. It was just eat healthy, which was to me was lean meat, chicken, rice, broccoli, cauliflower. I wasn't a big, vegetable guy, but I kind of like muscled it down because it's right healthy. So, and I lost like 70 pounds, but I lost a ton of muscle. I was like kind of looked frail. I said, this isn't right either. So I wound up researching a little bit more. I found the carnivore diet and Dr. Chafee. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. So I did it and I started feeling better. I started feeling healthier. I was starting to build muscle at the gym and I strength trained, probably 5 days a week. So that was helping. I saw myself starting to transform and I took pictures along the way and you could see my transformation. It's pretty significant in a kind of short period of time. But also had in my head that it took me 30 plus years to destroy my body. It's not going to turn around just overnight. Although it was for me quicker than I had anticipated, I know it's a long road, right? But in eating carnivore, I realized that I was addicted to sugar, and I never knew or realized that. Like I was addicted, even when I was carnivore, eating carnivore, and I would slip and fall. My slip and fall was eating like I don't know if they have it by you. It's an ice cream place called Carvel, and they have flying sauces. There's six in a pack, and they're pretty big. I would eat four or five of them in a row. It wasn't there wasn't stopping. I would take three of them to the kitchen table with me, and then I would go back for more. And I realized that this is like this has control of me, you know, and diabetes, right? It's all glucose. It's all elevated glucose levels, elevated insulin levels, and then you're in storage mode once your insulin levels are elevated all day long. So, and that was me for many years. But even when I was carnivore, I did good and I was losing weight, but I would also have that one roadblock that I couldn't get past, and that was the ice cream, the chips, the cake, the candy, the croissants. And even if I ate good all day, I would try and sell it to myself that I did good all day. So what is this going to do? But once I got like a glucose monitor, I would see what that did to me. So that little, croissant, I'd watch my insulin my glucose just spike. And it would always happen at night. So I would see my all night long up and down, up and down. It was like a roller coaster. I couldn't believe it. And that was the eye opener for me is the glucose monitor, because that really shows you. That was like a deterrent for me because I would watch my numbers and I would, wow, this is like crazy. Not that you can't ever have, okay, you eat, even if you have meat, right? You can expect a glucose response, but not like up to 260, 270.
Whoa, 260?
Yeah,
Are you kidding
yeah,
me?
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
If I had, a big thing of ice cream, yeah, that was like, and then the alarm starts going off, and then I'm panicking, and then I start grabbing dumbbells, and I'm doing like just to neutralize the spike. So I'm trying to get it to go down by grabbing. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting there, pressing dumbbells to
I
get.
was gonna say, how did this impact your sleep? Because it sounds like it had a detrimental effect on your sleep.
Yeah, so that would, well, the alarm going off. If my alarm didn't go off, I wouldn't get up. I would just sleep right through it. But when it did, wearing the monitor, and I've been wearing it for a couple of years now, it woke me up, and then I would, obviously disrupt your sleep. And even if you get up to go to the bathroom, you're disrupting your sleep, right? So imagine trying to grab some dumbbells and get you, because I would panic. I would get nervous that it was so high because, right, you think in your head, the high glucose damages your blood vessels, circulation, your heart, your eyes. So to me, that was like, and then eventually I got to the point where I really overcame my sugar addiction, and that was hard. And once in a while I'll have something now, but I have it not because, if it's a family birthday party, I'll have a slice of cake or something, or something maybe that's not so, friendly in the way of sugar. But now it doesn't have a grip on me. It's not like affecting me in a negative way daily, where it was daily. It was every day I would come home, and I don't care if it was, pretzel sticks or it was, a chocolate bar or whatever. It was bad. So I was pretty sick, and the type 2 diabetes diagnosis really kind of woke me up. And sometimes most times people have to get scared into changing. It's not.
I think it's really interesting how fear can propel us forward or it can freeze us. Can you talk a little bit more about, like the fear around the diabetic diagnosis. And how did you work through this sugar addiction? Because this is obviously very near and dear to my heart as a recovered sugar addict as well. I can have little bits of things that are sweetened with stevia. I find I don't enjoy them the way that I used to. Like now I'll have them and I'm like, it just doesn't taste good to me. And it like kind of makes me a little bit achy, makes my head a little bit foggy. And I'm like, is it really worth it for me to put that into my system? But just tell me a little bit more about the fear part of this for you and how you overcame the sugar addiction,
Yeah,
Dennis.
the fear was there and it was real. It was it scared me. You know, first when I went for a physical and the doctor checked off obese, that was like that. I was like, I think I actually said to him, I'm like, I think you marked this off wrong over here. And he's like, no, he's like, that's your weight and your height and stuff, you're obese. But it was that, and then the type 2 diabetes was just because you hear that people can die from this and they lose limbs. And I just had a gentleman that I work with that had type 2 diabetes, and he was at the beach and he stepped on a rock, cut his foot, and he almost lost his foot, got infected. And he was a drinker, a beer drinker, so he was not a healthy person, and he had type 2 diabetes, and he ignored it, and he was drinking, so he almost had his leg cut off. So all these things just run through my head and just like scare me. Like if you have type 2 diabetes, you should be scared. That's kind of my mindset. If you're not, then you're going to be in trouble. So it's it made me fearful. For a while, I would still have a little bit, and say to myself, well, okay, one little spike here or there, it's not the end of the world. It wasn't until I started really carnivore and recently the priming that really took away the addiction, or like took away the craving altogether. Because you still get cravings. And I go walk in the store and I walk past the, display of chocolate chip cookies. Of course, you still have it in your head. You look at it, that doesn't go away. Even if it's for a split second, then you're like, nope, and you go on your way, right? So it's still there. So, but once I started priming, which is only like not even 10 days yet, and I don't have any cravings, and that is like a godsend that I don't have it. Like you could put a cake on the table, and I could walk past it 100 times and not even go near it.
Isn't that so amazing? And that honestly, I dealt with restrictive binge eating, sugar addiction, and volume eating for well over a decade. Well over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
I never would have called it that. I didn't want to admit that I even had an issue. And same as you, I came into carnivore. I wasn't diabetic, but I came into carnivore because I wanted to get pregnant. And part of the reason why I couldn't get pregnant was because I had insulin resistant. I had polycystic ovarian syndrome that was brought on by a benign pituitary tumor, which was caused by insulin resistance. So there were a lot of working parts for me. But it wasn't until I primed that I was able to break free of sugar and sweeteners. So it took me, I left sweeteners and, I used keto friendly sweeteners. And I say it mockingly like that because like, I don't think sweeteners are any better than sugar. To me, they do the same thing. They light up the brain the same way, probably worse. And they're still toxic chemicals that your body has to process. But I left them in for the first 6 weeks. And then all of a sudden one day I was just like, I don't like the taste of this anymore. And I think I'm going to try, not having this tomorrow. And my husband was like, are you feeling okay? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, like I feel like I feel strong enough to go without it. And he was like, all right, let's do this. And one day turned into 3, turned into a week. And now like you, I have that food freedom. Can you talk a little bit about the food freedom that you've been experiencing with carnivore and not being an addict and a sugar slave?
Yeah, so it's like when I say it has a grip on you, it really like. So I was just in the chew the fat the other day. I was talking about my addiction to coffee because that's a thing too, right? There's addictions everywhere, right? Now it could be being on your phone all day, every day, and not letting it go, right? So my last hurdle is in my health journey is caffeine. So caffeine has a grip on me. Caffeine, the same way as sugar did, is, so caffeine for me is I make sure I have probably 6 to 8 cups of coffee with me when I leave for work, so I never don't have them. I figured it out the other day. I'm like at 96 ounces of coffee a day. I drink it like I'm drinking water. That's how bad it is. So today was actually my second day no coffee because we were in Chew the Fat meeting the other day, and one of the ladies, Alyssa, says, well, you could try this and then and then, and I said, you know what? And I said I had some stomach issues, and she's like, that could be the cause of it. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna really make an effort to try and eliminate the caffeine, and it has effects on your cortisol and all these other things in your body, right? And most coffee has mold, so what damage is that doing to you? It's having some kind of effect, right? It's not a positive effect. So, but anyway, the same thing with the sugar. You always make sure you had something with you. So whether it was a bag of chips or it was candy or stopping somewhere just to get your little fix, and that those are all real things, but they control you. That's what people don't realize, and most people don't even realize that it controls them. It's just it does, but it's because it's part of their lifestyle. It's what they do, that what they've done since they're kids, right? I watch it in the store every day. I see when I go to the store and I see these people and they're just filling their carts up with Doritos and Funyuns and soda, and they're grabbing 6 packs and 12 packs and 2 liters of soda, and it's just I look at that now and I just, you want to help them and say something, which of course you don't, but you could see it all everywhere. And the stores put it all right in your face. As soon as you walk in the door, you're slapped in the face with soda or cookies or chips and all the stuff that got me to where in 2013 I was headed for disaster with my health. I was not a healthy person, and so that addiction is real, and takes many different shapes, but it's not good, unless you're
I
addicted to
agree with
coffee.
you, Dennis. And I think it's not talked about enough how inundated we are with sugar and sweets and hyper palatable, toxic foods. And I will be bold and say that these foods are toxic. So I am originally from Canada. Moving to the US has been a really big eye opener for me because in Canada there are a lot of substances and ingredients that are banned, such as high fructose corn syrup. I don't understand why the US still includes that. I mean, I do understand,
Mhm.
but I don't understand why it's still allowed to be put into literally everything. Everything, like your ice cream, your cookies, your creamers, and like the things that, your additives, like it's in everything. And like even looking at like basic store foods, like if I was to buy, say, milk or cream or something like that, like why do there have to be gums and polysorbate 20 and all of this other garbage in there? Like, why can't it just be cream? Like what happened to the days of just like butter, eggs, milk, cheese, What do you think is going on with this? Why do you think it's so blatant and in our face?
So I mean, it's definitely the food industry, right? Big food, big pharma. I'm a believer that it's all intertwined, and they look, when you go into a doctor and the first thing he wants to do is write you a script, that's not okay. My doctor wanted to write me a script for after I was carnivore for statins. I said absolutely not. He goes, oh no, how come? I said because I don't need it. And he goes, okay, maybe next time. There was no next time for him, right? So that's what they do. They write the prescriptions. You get sick from the food. They write you prescriptions. I mean, what they say? Like, I think eight food companies that control all the food that we consume. It's I mean, it, it's it's in everything. They're making money with it. They're making money on us getting sick, and it's never going to stop or go away, and we're never going to control it. Only thing we could do is, from our end, is talk about our experiences, let people see how we became healthy, how we changed our health around. It doesn't even mean being, ripped and shredded. It's just you don't have to be like that to be healthy. You can be healthy and not be in a beauty contest, right? that's most people think like, hey, you got to
Yep.
like to walk on a runway to be healthy. Well, no, those are probably the most unhealthiest people, right? So you just if you eat like a carnivore, your health will turn around. And if you follow like the protocol that I'm following, so I'll say I was probably like a rogue carnivore before I got involved with SBG because I did my own thing. I fasted, I ate meat, I didn't really have any set schedules. It was kind of that's why I say rogue because I was just I was kind of like a whatever. But I still ate healthy, still ate carnivore. And I fasted. I had no rhyme or reason to my fasting. It was just, maybe one day it's 18, one day it's 24. Every once in a while, every 3 or 4 weeks, I do 72. So I was just throwing them everywhere. But now, after seeing like this protocol with the priming and 2MAD and then 23 ones and OMAD and, how it's set up, now I'm beginning to understand like how you get your body to the point of it being productive, right? Instead of just being all over the place. And probably I was undernourished too, even as a
Yes.
carnivore doing it
Yeah.
myself, right? I
Yep.
was
I would say nourishment is the biggest ticket with coming to carnivore. And I mean, I understand carnivore is not for everyone. I understand that. Dr. Ken Berry has this really cool little diagram of like zero carb up to, I think it's under 100 grams of carbs, like the ideal diet for different people. And some people do amazing on zero carb and have to stay zero carb, for their health, for their healing, for their recovery. And other people don't thrive on carnivore. Like they do well, they heal the things that they need to heal, but they still need to include a little bit of carbohydrates. And I mean, my husband, he went carnivore so we could reverse his infertility diagnosis. And now he's including a little bit of carbs, probably, I would say probably, well, he's carb cycling. So anywhere from 20 to 50 grams every second or third day is what he includes. And like very clean, like it's very, very clean, carbs that he includes, but that's how he feels his best because he's also an avid bodybuilder. He's taking care of his fitness, those types of things. So I think it's important for people to address and assess their lifestyle and what it is that they're trying to do. Like in your case, carnivore sounds like it's been amazing for you. And in my case, carnivore has been amazing for me. Like if I add carbs back in, I have problems.
right.
I don't know if you've experimented much. You said you were rogue. I know you had the sugar addiction and such, but have you been pretty strict since joining the steak and butter gang?
Yeah, I have been 100% strict. Actually, the other day, um, somebody in the group, I had a stomach issue, so somebody in the group had said, "Hey, you may want to try some kefir." Um, so I went to the store and bought it, and I brought it home, and I put it in a cup, and I drank it, and I'm like, "Wow!" I'm like, "That was super sugary." And I look at it, and it was vanilla. It had like 17 grams of sugar in it, and I'm like, "Ah, I always get the unsweetened one,
Oh,
I
no.
didn't look. I'm colorblind, so I couldn't see the color of the thing. So I grabbed the wrong one. But as soon as it hit my mouth and I swallowed, I was like, wow. I'm like, that something wasn't right there. I'm like, that's not unsweetened, kefir. I'm like, that was a lot of sugar in that. So I was like freaking, I'm like checking my glucose monitor. I'm like, because I don't want that. It just goes to show you, like, prove my point. Like, I don't even want the sugar in my body. I was like panicking when I had drank that. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, and listen, the end it's not gonna kill me, right? But I just don't want I don't have the urge to add that into my diet right now. So yeah, so it's been since I started SPG that kind of like
That's
yeah.
It's so amazing to me to see how quickly things can change and how quickly our tastes can change. You mentioned you also were wrestling with diverticulitis. Can you talk a little bit more about how long it took you to recover from that and what was the healing process like for you with that?
Yeah, so that was it wasn't often, but and I would say I would get it, an attack, and then a couple years later I would get it again. But it was to the point where no, not the endocrine, my gastroenterologist said, "Hey, this is like number three already. Like you might have to go get surgery and have part of your colon removed. I'm like, no, 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 that's not happening. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, so that was like another kicker for me, like scared me into like I gotta have part of my colon removed, because I have this diabetes, because I keep getting the diverticulitis. So I'm like, and I haven't had it in years. So like it would have, I would have already had probably, if I was eating the same way, I would already have had another incident. So that was another issue. And it was, I think it healing like that was due to my dietary changes that I made. And the other big one was gout. When I had gout, that would get that more often than not, more often than diverticulitis. And that was like I would get it in my big toe, the uric acid crystallized around and it was so painful. My foot would blow up like a balloon. Couldn't walk on it for days. That was not a fun one. The gout attack. But I haven't had anything in years, probably 5 years.
Okay, no gout in 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, can we talk about this? Because this is one of the most common questions that we get asked as carnivores, like, how do you prevent gout? Like, didn't all those people on the ocean get gout, eating meat and scurvy and all that kind of stuff, because of low vitamin C? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that they say is that when you get gout, it's from red meat. They call it the what do they call it? The rich man's uh,
Rich
disease.
man's diet or something?
Rich man's disease, I think, is something like that because it's from eating shellfish, too much shellfish, too much red meat, and there was something else in there too. I forget what it was, but seafood. But yeah, I that it wasn't like I will say that I didn't get it from that because when I was getting it, I never was a red meat. I was always chicken guy. So I was still getting it eating chicken, no red meat. And that was the first thing I said to the doctor. I said, I'm not a big seafood guy and I don't eat red meat. So you're telling me chicken's giving it to me? I was always very, very chicken, 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 chicken for years. But so yeah, so that's a misconception that yeah, obviously because if it was from red meat and seafood, I would be getting it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Is that what you primarily eat now, Dennis? Are you primarily a beef guy? Do you mix it up? What's kind of your daily
Mostly
diet looking like?
90% beef. Uh, Not really much pork except for bacon. No chicken. It's not yeah. A seafood once in a while. I'll have some shrimp or crab meat or something, but that's really about it. It's mostly beef. Once in a while too, I'll get the um, what is it? The
Pork belly?
pork belly, pork belly. Yeah,
What
yeah.
what about eggs or
Oh yes,
butter,
I'm sorry.
tallow, anything like that?
Yes, eggs. I do eggs, but I don't do the whites. I just do the yolks. I'll like yesterday I had like 8 yolks in the morning for breakfast. Just flash fry them quick, and yeah, that's it with the eggs. Yeah, butter, not tallow more than anything. I cook everything in tallow. I add it to stuff. Sometimes I just eat the tallow, on a tablespoon.
Do you like tallow cold or do you like it room temperature?
Room temperature. I keep
I just can't if it's room
it.
temperature. It has to be like cold, cold for me. I don't know what it is. That's the only way I'll
I
eat it. It's
mean,
cold.
when I do eat it, doesn't go down like perfect. There's definitely a time I'm like, got it, it's down.
Yeah. Yeah. I find to me, to make it palatable, I have to have it cold. If it's cold, I'll eat it until the cows come home. But
Yeah,
if it's warm, if it's room temperature, I'm like, "Ugh, no."
yeah.
It's very interesting.
And I
Very
probably
interesting.
should put it in the fridge. I might actually try that. Put it in the fridge and see if it tastes better.
Yeah, I like to mix tallow with a little bit of Maldon's smoked sea salt,
Oh,
um, just because it gives it like that smoky kind of flavor. And then I put it in the freezer and I make little, like I call them fat bombs, little salty fat bombs, and so I can eat them cold. Uh, I don't know if you've experienced this, but this was something that I experienced. Hot melted rendered fats, liquid fats, not my friend. Did you find that for yourself or no?
No, the fats never bothered my stomach. Never. I just whether it was cold or hot, it's fine for me. I don't have issue with that. Yeah.
Good, good. Okay, Mr. Dennis, I wanted to ask you, are you currently off of all of your medications? And if so, how long did it take you to get off of every single one of them?
Okay. So not advised, but I took myself off of all the medications. Once I started, I knew I so here's my thought process. I knew all the medicines that I was taking was lowering my glucose, my appetite. So the metformin, I wasn't too sure about that one, what that. I knew the Jardiance made me excrete the sugars out of my urine. The Victoza, which was I think Victoza is like similar to I would take an injection in my stomach, but I think it's similar to Ozempic now, maybe. Maybe they just renamed it, but um, it, so I knew that those were doing what they were doing. So I said, well, if I'm not eating that way, then there should be no reason that I need to take the medicine because it's going to lower my sugar, the Jardiance, by pushing it out of my body. But if I'm not having the sugar, then what's it pushing out of my body? Like there's no need to push excess sugar out of my body. So I took myself off of them after I was on for like a year, and then I did it myself because I was going to my endocrinologist, and the lady was like, "So do you want me to up your dose?" And I'm like, up my dose. I'm like, what? I said that you're my doctor. She's like, well, I didn't know if you wanted to increase it. And I'm like, I can't. I'm like, you're asking me if I said, if I want to up my dose. I'm like, what do I
Yes.
know about that? I don't.
It's
I'm not
like
a
if you have to ask me that,
Yeah,
who's the
I'm like,
doctor
I'm not a
here?
pharmacologist. I don't know what this drug does and like how it was going to affect me by increasing my dose. But apparently she wasn't worried about it. But I switched endocrinologists and just after that I was kind of like turned off. But
Yeah. Sounds like that was the right move for you, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll just say this one thing about the um, community. It, I was on season 3 of Reverse Carnivore in Costa Rica, and that being able to be around all those doctors and experts for 4 days was absolutely amazing. Dr. Kills, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Berry, uh, Coach Bronson, Emily, Bella, everybody, just having full access to everybody for 4 days, picking their brains, listening to them converse with each other about issues in the medical field and stuff that they experienced, and then being able to talk to them about it, you elbow to elbow at dinner table with Dr. Chafee and Dr. Kiltz, and it was the most awesome experience. But it was, yeah, I mean, to see them, yes, but also um, to listen to them and pick their brains and find out, what you could do better to make yourself thrive, and it's definitely like Dr. Berry says, the proper human diet. And I'm a firm believer of, hey, if it works for you, do it. If it doesn't, then don't. I don't ever push it on anybody. Some people, like you said earlier, can do it and want to do it, and some people can't and or don't want to do it, and that's fine. I mean, if you want to eat vegan, eat vegan. It's your body. It's do what you want to do.
We
This
know
works.
where it leads, and vegan is usually a doorway into keto or carnivore because some people see, and I was vegan for a while. I did it for about probably close to 6 months. I started going vegetarian and then I went vegan. And I was like, wow, I feel slightly better. And then I didn't. And my husband's so funny. Um, he lovingly said to me one day, he was like, Rochelle, I think you should go back to eating meat. And I was like, why? And he's like, because you were nicer when you ate
See,
meat.
something to it.
I mean, what does that tell you? Obviously my blood sugar was all over the map. I was already infertile. I was having tons of issues. And like you mentioned nobody ever talks to you about your diet. And the only diet people ever talked to me about was vegan or the standard American diet. And I'm like, that crap doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. So carnivore just seemed like an answer to many prayers. I don't know if you felt that way, but that's definitely how I still feel.
Yeah, I know, I do. I You know what? When you wake up every day and you feel like you get out of bed and you feel like starting your day, that's $1,000,000 right there. That's like you're literally starting your day and you feel like a champ stepping, putting your 2 feet on the floor. You know,
Amen.
that's what you hope everybody could feel, that same feeling that you feel when you do that. It's there's nothing worse than waking up and not wanting to get out of bed, snoozing your alarm 12 times,
Oof.
finally getting up and walking to the bathroom, or walking, to start your day. You know, I throw my bag on my shoulder every day and I walk out like I'm like, walking into like a stadium for Super Bowl, that
Oh, I love it.
when you have that feeling, there's
Yeah.
nothing better.
Oh, yeah, and it's like you've reclaimed your livelihood.
Yeah.
That's kind of the
I
way that
think
I see it.
Amy says this all the time. It's a great way to put it. She's like, when I'm 80 years old, I want to be able to go to the bathroom by myself and not have somebody
Yes.
take me there.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
that is just that's then when you think about that, you may not think about it now because I'm 53. You might not think about it now, but in reality, it's not that far away. And if you let yourself go for that many years, you will. You might be 65 and having somebody have to take you to the bathroom.
And that's just not a way that I want to live my life at all. I don't want to live my life like that. Like for me, do you have children, Dennis?
They do have three.
You have three children. Okay, so probably one of your goals is to be able to run around with your kids and, play with them. I don't know how young or old your
Yeah,
kids
they're
are,
old.
but
They don't want to run around and play with me anymore.
but I mean, you want to be there for when they have children. I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah. No, they do. I'm a grandfather. So
Oh,
yeah,
see,
yeah.
there you go. And like now that you have those grandbabies, how old are your grandchildren, Dennis?
7, 5, and 3 months.
Oh my gosh, all very fun ages. And you
Yeah.
probably enjoy, roughhousing with them or taking them to the park or whatever,
Yeah,
playing
there's things
tag
that
and
you
stuff
want
like
to
that.
do that you want to
Yeah.
always be able to do, even when they're
Yeah.
22 and they want to go, play ball or fishing or, go somewhere that, you maybe wouldn't be able to do it if you weren't a healthy person.
Well, and I think that to me, that is one of the ultimate goals is not just to be able to go to the bathroom by myself, but to also be able to survive for my grandchildren and not just be surviving, but thriving. I want to be healthy. I want to be vital. I want them to look at me and be like, really? My grandma's 80? Kind of like Farmer Maggie from Canada, the 82-year-old woman who looks like she's maybe 60 and like just amazing how she hops a 4-wire barb fence like she's a 20-year-old and probably better
Yeah.
than a lot of 20-year-olds. Like, that's me. I want to be that lady. I want to be strong. I want to be vibrant. I want to be healthy. I don't, the youth side of things is whatever, but it's like I want to feel amazing. I don't want to wake up in crippling pain every day. I don't want to wake up miserable every day, wishing my life away. I want to wake up, like you said, and like feel like you're walking into the stadium and like the spotlight's on you and like you're ready to go. You're ready for game time.
Yes, that's the best feeling. I
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
wish I
This
could
actually
bottle
leads
that.
me into my
Yeah.
next question for you, Dennis. How do you handle family and social situations with eating carnivore? I know you mentioned earlier. Don't mind my little guy. I know you
Okay.
mentioned earlier that if you are at a birthday party or something like that, you might have a slice of cake or, some option, but how do you handle family and social situations?
Yeah, so I mean, listen, if it's in the summertime, it's usually a barbecue or something, and then it's an easy thing. If it's maybe Christmas dinner, it might be a little tougher with all you know the sweet potatoes and the mashed potatoes and the gravies and the all the goodies and stuff like that. That's tough, but usually I try and I'll be very picky in that situation where I'm not gonna I won't overindulge and stuff like that. And sometimes I make sure like certain situations, if I know there's not going to be anything good, I'll make it a fast thing and just restrict myself from eating. And I don't, when I say restrict myself, I don't mean in a bad way or it's like, hey, I'm punishing myself to do that. I just mean like I'm fine with always not. I've fasted for years, for probably since after the diagnosis, and then a year later I started fasting. So I'm fine with not eating for 24 hours or you know 16, 18, it's nothing. Like that's easy,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. One of my one of my favorite things to do if I'm going somewhere where I know that I maybe don't have the best options or carnivore options is I like to eat before I go. Obviously, my situation's a little bit different. You know, I'm breastfeeding a little
Mhm.
person, so I mean, I kind of have to eat. Um, but have you ever tried that? Have you tried eating before you go to an
No, I
event? Has that been
usually
helpful, or you
don't.
just
I
prefer
don't.
to fast?
So the priming for me was like a little. I don't know if you were on the other day when I said the priming for me was a little difficult because I never ate until full, and I don't mean like get sick full. I just mean even whether it's my stomach is just I don't have a big stomach because I had gone to the doctor once years and years ago, and I said why my kids could eat so much more than I can eat, and I just can't do it. I'm not, just. And she said, oh, everybody's different, your stomach may be a little smaller. So I was never a big one meal like stuff myself. So the priming was a little difficult for me because I'm not in that. I've never been in that mindset. I would always stop before I got full. It may have been garbage, but I stopped before I got full. Because I never wanted to feel uncomfortable. Because that to me, like some people can't go to the eat and then go to the gym, and I can't do that because I just feel uncomfortable. I don't feel like, you know, I will not go to the gym like that. So um, yeah, but I won't. I would never do it beforehand, like just eat before I go. I would rather just not eat for me.
Oh, interesting. That's a
Yeah,
very interesting perspective. And I
yeah.
like that you brought up the gym. It makes me want to inquire, what are your goals now with carnivore? Are you working out? Were you able to work out like right away when you started carnivore? Did you have to wait a little while to implement it?
No, I worked out since uh, I think it was 2017. I really started getting back into it again once the diabetes, and I read that diet and exercise. That's when I really started going to the gym, and I've been at the gym for years now, and I strength train. I don't do any really cardio stuff. I mean I could, but usually my time is restricted at the gym to an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. So I go in there, I just do weights, strength training, and then I'm out the door. But if I'm going to do one thing and spend the time doing it, then it's going to be strength training because there's nothing better than building muscle. Like,
Right? I mean, how else are you going to get yourself off the toilet when you're 80?
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yes. So,
Awesome. Well, Dennis,
yeah.
as we come to the end of our time together today, can you share what would be your top tips for someone who's possibly considering a carnivore lifestyle? What would you share with them?
Oh, get involved in the community for sure because being now that I'm involved in SBG, I have heard so many stories about people that are sick, not healthy, want to get healthy, making the time and taking the time and dedicate themselves, committing to becoming healthy. And you're never perfect, right? You want consistency, not perfection. But when you hear other people talk and you hear other people's stories, number one, you might not think your story is as bad because when you hear other stories, it's like, wow, that's a story, right? And then also, um, you know, when people want to help you and you're able to help people too, just could be like a simple thing, like with the way I did something, it may just that may work for somebody else. So I would say community is super, 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 super important. Like a support group, whatever it is. For me, it's SPG, and I think being involved in them now is a game changer for me. So, but yeah, talk to other people and hear their stories and help other people. It's for me, it's I get a lot out of that trying to help people. So community,
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. And on that
and
note,
then
Dennis,
also one more thing. I'm sorry. Just
yeah,
keep it simple. Take it slow. Don't try and do 100 miles an hour. If you're in your car and you're doing 100 miles an hour and you make one little mistake, you're off the road, right? If you go slow, you can correct yourself and you can fix it. So go slow, keep it simple, and then get involved in the community and talk to people. To me, that's the recipe for being successful.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think a lot of people do try and do 100 miles an hour and then they look left and suddenly they're in the meridian.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Community is key. And that's been the most helpful thing for me as well. And I remember telling my husband about the steak and butter gang. I was about a month into carnivore and I came across Bella's community and I was like, you know what? I really want to get involved with the community because I feel like I need the help. I need the support. I just didn't feel like I was going to get through it on my own. And I was so glad that I joined. It's been such a blessing to me to be a part of that community and to be a coach in that community. But I wanted to ask you, Dennis, my final question for you: if people want to reach out to you and connect with you, if they want to know more about about your story, how can they find you?
So I'm only on Instagram, and it's DT underscore carnivore. That's my username. So that's just kind of my story, what I do, how I do it, my transformations on there, some pictures and stuff like that. So I would say take pictures of yourself, because once you start and you make the transformation, you can look back and you can show people what you did. There's nothing speaks louder than a before and after picture. You know, so
Yeah, and a picture says 1,000 words, doesn't it? I mean, I've seen your before and after pictures, and with your permission, I'm going to be sharing those in the edits of this video as well,
yeah,
because
sure,
they're amazing. Your transformation is so incredible, and I think it'll be very encouraging and inspiring for other men to see men doing carnivore and having success. I think that's
yeah.
awesome.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I also want to just thank you for being my guest today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I'm really looking forward to getting this message out there. Do you have any final words that you want to share before we close?
yeah. Just make the decision, the commitment, and go for it. Don't let anybody hold you back. If you want to make the change and you're ready to do it, go for it. Sometimes people have family that will be involved, and sometimes they don't. So sometimes you have to be your own cheerleader. So nobody in my family does what I do, so I had to do it by myself. So if you're lucky enough to have family behind you, then that makes it even better and easier. But if not, you have to do it yourself. It's tough, but you can do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dennis, for sharing your words of wisdom and your story with us today. And I look forward to meeting with you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. I would love to, as always, know where are you signing on from? Where are you watching from? So if you want to drop me a comment below and let me know, that would be great. I have linked all of Dennis's contact information in the bio description part below, so you can get in touch with him, give him a follow on Instagram, and see his transformation stories. You guys, it has been my pleasure to record this for you. I hope you are all having a blessed, wonderful day. And thanks so much. This is Rochelle, the Real Life Carnivore, signing out. Bye for now.